Hello everyone, this side Mayank Jhunjhunwala from IIT Kanpur. So today we are going to discuss real functions and their basic phenomena, what the real function basically is, and some previous year questions. So let's start. Basically real functions वही होते हैं जो अभी तक अपन लोग पढ़ रहे थे. But what is the basic algebra like? How we let me make it downside. So let's start with the algebra. Firstly, there are, as we know, there are four types of functions: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So all can be done to a real function. Uh, all can be done to a real function. First, let's take algebra. So adding these things we can add them differently. Like fx plus gx can be done alone. So let's say your fx is 2x squared, gx is 3x plus 2. So you can add them directly. Like if you want to do f plus g of x is nothing but 2x squared plus 3x plus 2. So you can directly write it. I know you must be doing it from before, but just to be starting with, we put this in our slide. So let's move ahead. Now moving on to subtraction. What is subtraction? In subtraction, there's nothing. Just you have to subtract two functions. Let's say fx is this and gx is this. So you can directly subtract them, like x squared plus 5x plus 4 minus 17x plus 5. So from here, so यहाँ से अपन लोग क्या कर सकते हैं? यहाँ से अपन लोग कर सकते हैं x squared plus 5x plus 4 माइनस 17x plus 5. यहाँ से अपन लोग कर सकते हैं डायरेक्टली. तो यहाँ से फिर मैं एफ एक्स 5 और माइनस 17 कर दूंगा, तो यहाँ पे मुझे जाएगा -12x और 4 प्लस 5 हो जाएगा 9. तो मेरा जो फाइनल आंसर जाएगा वो जाएगा x स्क्वायर -12x प्लस 9. तो ये बेसिक अलजेब्रा है, एडिशन सब्ट्रैक्शन वगैरह. ठीक है, तो आगे चलते हैं. मल्टीप्लिकेशन बाय स्केलर में तो ये भी सिंपल है. जो भी आपको फंक्शन दिया रहेगा उसमें आप किसी भी स्केलर मल्टीपल स्केलर नंबर का मल्टीप्लाई कर सकते हो. लेट्स से आपको ये फंक्शन दिया हुआ है, इसमें आपको कोई स्केलर से मल्टीप्लाई करना है तो आप अल्फा इक्वल टू 5 लेके इसमें मल्टीप्लाई कर सकते हो. तो बेसिकली आप यहाँ पे 5 मल्टीप्लाई कर दोगे तो 5x² प्लस 5 इंटू 10x प्लस 5 इंटू 1 5. तो ये मेरा फाइनल आंसर हो जाएगा 5x² प्लस 10x प्लस 5. ठीक है, नॉर्मल है. बस इसमें एक चीज ध्यान रखना कि अगर आपका पहला फंक्शन रियल, जो आपकी पहले फंक्शन की डेफिनेशन होगी बाद में भी डेफिनेशन वही रहेगी. एक स्केलर के मल्टीप्लाई करने से आपका डोमेन या रेंज चेंज नहीं हो जाएगा. मतलब रेंज चेंज हो सकता है लेकिन यहाँ पे पूरे रियल नंबर ही दिया हुआ है तो फिर रेंज इज नॉट चेंजिंग बट डोमेन विल रिमेन सेम. मतलब एक्स की वैल्यू पे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. जो आप डोमेन डालोगे बस आपकी रेंज चेंज हो सकती है, लेकिन क्योंकि यहाँ पे रेंज पूरा रियल नंबर ही है, फाइनली मल्टीप्लाई करके भी जो नंबर आएगा वो रियल नंबर ही आएगा. तो रेंज विल रिमेन सेम. सो ये बेसिकली कुछ अलजेब्रा की बातें थी. फिर आगे चलते हैं. मल्टीप्लिकेशन ऑफ टू रियल फंक्शंस पे. ये भी वही चीज है, अगर आपको दो रियल फंक्शन मल्टीप्लाई करना है तो आप डायरेक्टली मल्टीप्लाई कर सकते हो. बस एक चीज ध्यान रखना कि जब आप मल्टीप्लाई करोगे तो जो एक की डोमेन रेंज है दूसरी डोमेन रेंज है फाइनल फंक्शन की भी वही रहेगी. मतलब जो भी आपकी फाइनल फंक्शन की डोमेन है वो वही रहेगी जो इंडिविजुअल फंक्शंस की है. मतलब अगर एफ एक्स और जी एक्स की जो कॉमन डोमेन है, मतलब मान लो कि मेरी एफ एक्स की डोमेन है, मान लो मेरी एफ एक्स की जो डोमेन है वो है इंटीजर्स, नहीं वो है रियल नंबर्स. ठीक है, और जो मेरी जी एक्स की डोमेन है वो है इंटीजर्स. तो जो मेरी फाइनल डोमेन होगी एफ एक्स इंटू जी एक्स की वो सिर्फ इंटीजर्स ही रहेगी, क्योंकि जो मेरा इंटीजर होता है वो सबसेट होता है रियल नंबर का. ये चीज यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ नहीं है लेकिन मैं आपको बता देता हूँ. जो मेरा इंटीजर होता है वो होता है सबसे होता है रियल नंबर का. तो अगर आपको एफ एक्स इंटू जी एक्स करना है तो ऑब्वियस सी बात है आपको दोनों में सेम ही एक्स डाल सकते हो. तो आप वो एक्स डालोगे जो दोनों को सेटिस्फाई करेगा. तो एक की अगर डोमेन इंटीजर है और एक की डोमेन अगर रियल नंबर है तो आपकी एफ एक्स इंटू जी एक्स की जो डोमेन होगी वो सिर्फ इंटीजर होगी, क्योंकि इंटीजर है सबसेट ऑफ रियल नंबर. जो जितने भी इंटीजर होते हैं वो सारे रियल नंबर होते हैं, लेकिन सारे रियल नंबर इंटीजर नहीं होते हैं. इसलिए एफ एक्स इंटू जी एक्स अगर आप करोगे तो उनकी डोमेन वही वाली होगी जो दोनों को सेटिस्फाई करती होगी. तो अगर एक के इंटीजर है एक के रियल नंबर है तो दोनों की डोमेन हो जाएगी इंटीजर. ठीक है, तो ऐसे करके आप करोगे. फिर यहाँ पे आपको दिया हुआ है एफ एक्स इक्वल टू 5x-4, जी एक्स इक्वल टू x² -9. ये दो फंक्शंस आपको दिए हुए हैं रियल वैल्यूड. तो इसमें अपन लोग क्या करेंगे, अपन लोग करेंगे दोनों को मल्टीप्लाई कर देंगे। मुझे एफ एक्स दिया हुआ, मुझे जी एक्स दिया हुआ है, मैं दोनों को मल्टीप्लाई कर दूंगा। मल्टीप्लाई करने पे 5x इंटू एक्स को हो जाएगा 5x क्यूब, 5x-9 हो जाएगा, 5x इंटू -9 हो जाएगा -45x, फिर -4 इंटू एक्स हो जाएगा -4x स्क्वायर, और माइनस माइनस प्लस तो प्लस 4 × 9 36। तो ये मेरा फाइनल आंसर जाएगा, जिसको मैं ढंग से सही वाले ऑर्डर में लिख दूंगा। एफ ऑफ जी ऑफ एक्स इज इक्वल टू, मतलब डिक्रीजिंग ऑर्डर में लिख दूंगा, डिक्रीजिंग ऑर्डर ऑफ पावर में। पहले एक्स क्यूब आएगा, फिर एक्स स्क्वायर आएगा, फिर एक्स आएगा, फिर +36 आएगा। तो ये मेरा फाइनल आंसर हो जाएगा। ठीक है, तो आई होप समझ में आया होगा। बस इसमें ये वाला पॉइंट इंपॉर्टेंट था कि डोमेन आप वही लोगे जो दोनों को सेटिस्फाई कर रही होगी, वरना फिर आप फंक्शन को मल्टीप्लाई नहीं कर सकते। ठीक है, आगे चलते हैं। तो लेट्स मूव अहेड। ओके, सो कमिंग ऑन टू कंपोजिट पार्ट। अब कंपोजिट फंक्शंस क्या होते हैं? कंपोजिट फंक्शंस आर नथिंग बट, आपको इसमें सिंपली वही चीज करनी है कि आपको कोई फंक्शन दिया हुआ है एफ एक्स। ठीक है, कोई फंक्शन दिया हुआ है एफ एक्स, और कोई फंक्शन दिया हुआ है जी एक्स। ठीक है, आपको मान लो ये दो फंक्शन दिए हुए हैं एफ एक्स और जी एक्स। तो आपको जो कंपोजिट फंक्शन आएगा वो क्या तो होगा, एफ ऑफ जी एक्स। जो आपको कंपोजिट फंक्शन आएगा उसका रिप्रेजेंट कैसे करते हो? रिप्रेजेंट करते हो आप एक ओ से। तो आपको कंपोजिट फंक्शन दो बन सकते हैं, क्या तो बन सकते हैं एफ ओ जी एक्स, या फिर बन सकता है जियो एफ एक्स। ये दो आपके कंपोजिट फंक्शन बन सकते हैं, क्या तो एफ ओ जी एक्स बनेगा, या फिर जियो एफ एक्स बनेगा। ठीक, ऐसे ये दो कंपोजिट फंक्शन बनेंगे। अब इसमें देखने वाली बात क्या है? देखने वाली बात है डोमेन और रेंज पे वापस। तो जो मेरी कंपोजिट फंक्शन की डोमेन और रेंज होगी वो क्या होगी? जो इनर वाला फंक्शन हो गया उसकी जो डोमेन है वो आपकी कंपोजिट फंक्शन की डोमेन होगी, और जो बाहर वाले फंक्शन की रेंज है वो आपके पूरे फंक्शन की रेंज होगी। मतलब इसकी जो डोमेन होगी, डोमेन वो होगी इनर फंक्शन की डोमेन। जो आपका इनर फंक्शन है उसकी डोमेन जो होगी वो आपके फंक्शन की डोमेन होगी, इनर। और जो रेंज होगी वो बाहर वाले फंक्शन की रेंज होगी, जो आउटर वाला फंक्शन है उसकी जो रेंज होगी वो होगी। ठीक है, देखो ये जो आपकी डोमेन थी, ये मैंने डाला इनर वाले फंक्शन पे, क्योंकि यहाँ पे मैंने लिया है जियो एफ एक्स। तो मेरा जी है आउटर फंक्शन, एफ इनर फंक्शन। तो मैंने इनर वाले फंक्शन की डोमेन ली, उसको मैंने डाला आउटर फंक्शन में। तो जो मेरे को जियो एफ एक्स मिला, ये मुझको मिला आउटर फंक्शन की रेंज। ठीक है, तो बेसिकली करना कुछ नहीं है। जो आपको मान लो जियो एफ एक्स दिया होगा, जियो जियो जी एक्स की जो डेफिनेशन दी रहेगी, जो आपको जी एक्स की डेफिनेशन दी रहेगी, जैसे एक्स स्क्वायर प्लस 3x+2 ऐसे करके कुछ। तो वहां पे आप एक्स की जगह हमेशा एक्स को एफ एक्स से रिप्लेस कर दोगे। और जो एफ एक्स की जो भी, जो एफ एक्स है, मान लो आपका एफ एक्स है 3x+2, तो जहां जहां पे एक्स है वहां पे आप 3x+2 डाल दोगे। इसको मैं बोलता हूँ कंपोजिट फंक्शंस। इसमें जो मेन चीज है वो एक डोमेन और रेंज वाली थी। जो डोमेन होगी वो अंदर होगी, वो होगी इनर वाली फंक्शन की डोमेन, और जो रेंज होगी वो होगी, रेंज वुड बी द रेंज ऑफ आउटर फंक्शन। ठीक है, सो लेट्स मूव अहेड। अब इसका सिंबल मैंने आपको बता ही दिया। सिंबल इज जी ओ एफ एक्स। मतलब बीच में एक ओ आता है कंपोजिट फंक्शन में, जो उसका सिंबल होता है उसमें बीच में ओ आएगा। उसके बाद हम लोग ओ को डॉट से रिप्लेस नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि फिर वहां पे वो दूसरी चीज आएगी, वहां पे हो जाएगा जी डॉट एफ एक्स। अगर मैं लिखूंगा तो फिर वो एक्चुअली में डॉट की मानेगा उस चीज को। तो फिर वो वहां पे फंक्शन मल्टीप्लाई में चले जाएंगे, तो वो चीज मुझको नहीं चाहिए। तो ये चीज अलग चीज है, वो प्रोडक्ट ऑफ टू फंक्शन हो जाएगा, मेरे को ओ ही लिखना पड़ेगा। तो नोटेशन है, नोटेशन के साथ कभी भी छेड़छाड़ नहीं करनी चाहिए, because these are fixed notation, so you can't change them. So notation is always a O symbol between for composite functions. Then coming on to domain part. डोमेन पार्ट मेरे को मैंने आपको बताया है, डोमेन एफ ऑफ जी एक्स इज रीड एज एफ ऑफ जी ऑफ एक्स, क्योंकि जो अंदर वाला फंक्शन है उसका हमें डोमेन देना है, इसलिए एफ ऑफ जी ऑफ एक्स। इन द कंपोजिट फंक्शन द डोमेन ऑफ फंक्शन एफ बिकम्स जी एक्स। मतलब जो जी एक्स की जो डोमेन होगी वो मेरे फाइनल फंक्शन की डोमेन होगी। तो ये एक बात है, जैसे कि अगर एफ एक्स मेरा 3x+1 है और जी एक्स एक्स स्क्वायर है, तो जो मेरा एफ ऑफ जी एक्स होगा, मैंने आपको बताया यहाँ पे जो एक्स है इसको आप जी एक्स से रिप्लेस कर दो। मतलब क्या हो जाएगा? इसको अगर मैं लिखूँ तो उसको मैं ऐसे लिखूंगा, एफ ऑफ एक्स इज इक्वल टू 3 टाइम्स, फॉर एक्स की जगह मैं डाल दूंगा जी एक्स, 3 टाइम्स जी एक्स +1। ठीक है, अब जो जी एक्स की वैल्यू है वो डाल दो। सो नाउ जी एक्स इज इक्वल टू एक्स स्क्वायर, तो 3 टाइम्स एक्स स्क्वायर +1। ये मेरा फाइनल आंसर हो जाएगा। दिस इज माई फाइनल आंसर फॉर माई FOGX। ठीक है, तो आई होप दिस थिंग must be understandable because it is nothing but it is very simple. One more thing, FOGX and GOFX are different thing. Let me write it down. GOFX is never equal to, it can be, but it is not generally equal to FOGX. These are two different things. Okay, so if I do FOGX, then I will get this function. If I do GOFX, then what I will get? G of fx is equal to, firstly I will write down gx. Gx is x square, so replacing x with fx, I will get f of x square, f of x square. So now replace the value of by fx by value of fx, which is 3x plus 1. So it would be 3x plus 1 whole square. It would be 3x plus 1 whole square. Okay, so this is my g of fx and this is my f of gx. So both are different things. Never misunderstand them as same. So they are not at all same. They are an entirely different thing. Moving ahead. So now coming on to inverse functions. What is inverse function? An inverse function, इसको मैं anti function भी बोलता हूँ. An inverse function or an anti function is defined as a function which can reverse into another function. In simple words, if any function f takes x to y, then the inverse of f will take from y to x. मतलब अगर आपको दिया हुआ है कोई function y which is a function of x, then inverse function would be x equal to f of y. Okay, so this is the basic definition of inverse function. This is nothing but I have just inverse my function. Okay, and one more thing which I have told you many times, that functions inverse is only and only defined if my function is bijective. And what is the meaning of bijective? Bijective is nothing but if your function is both 1 1 and 1 2, then you can say that your function is bijective. What is 1 1? 1 1 is that for one value of x, you are only getting one value of y, and on 2 is like your range and codomain is same. That is, let's say your range is given real numbers, then your function should cover all the real numbers. It should not leave any real number at all. So if your range is entirely covered, then you can say that your function is on 2, and if your function is 1 1 also, then your function is bijective. So these two conditions are very necessary for a function to be invertible. Otherwise, your function is not invertible. So whenever anyone asks you when your function is inverse, it can be inverted, then you simply say that if my function is bijective, then my function is invertible. Okay. So this was one thing, and inverse function is basically nothing. If you are given y equal to something or f of x, then you try to make it in the form of x equal to some function of y. Then this thing is nothing but your inverse function. Okay, it is represented by f inverse or capital F inverse, whichever you want. And do not confuse -1 with reciprocal here, which is one more thing which many students do actually. F inverse is not 1 by f. 1 by f is something else. So this is not 1 by f thing. It is f inverse means you have to represent y equal to fx in the form of x equal to f of y. So these are two different things. Don't confuse them. Then moving on to inverse, f of gx is equal to one more thing. Let's say y equal to fx and x equal to fy. So you can write it in the form of y equal to some g of x. Okay. So these are two invertible functions. So since they are invertible, so if you take their composition, then you will get x. Okay, you will get x. Okay, simply अगर मैं आपको यहाँ से भी बताऊँ तो आप यहाँ से भी you can do it. Let's see how. You will take f of y. And what is y? Y is f of x. F of x. But since both are same, let me take it equal to g. So let me take it equal to g. And since we know that f and g are inverse of each other, so if we know that log and e are inverse of each other, so what we basically do, if it is written to us at log of e power x, then what we do, we actually cancel log and e and we take it equal to x. No, similar way, since f and g are inverse of each other, so we will cancel them, and our final answer would be x. So always remember the composition of two functions which are inverse of each other, will give you your answer as x. So if it is f of gx or it is g of fx, both will give you x only. Or it is g of fx, both will give you inverse only. Okay. So this is one thing. Then, for example, let's say you're given fx equal to 2x plus 5. Fx equal to 2x plus 5. Okay. So from here, you can, for easy, let me write it equal y equal to 2x plus 5 for making it easy. Y equal to 2x plus 5. So as I said to you, it is given to you as y equal to some fx. Y equal to fx is given to you. And now you have to write it in the form of x equal to f of y. So make it like that. Take 5 that side. So it will be y minus 5 equal to 2x, or x equal to y minus 5 by 2. Y minus 5 y2. Okay. So now, since you want to write it in the form of function, so write it as g of y equal to y minus 5 by 2. This is your inverse function for the given function. Okay. So quite easy. I hope समझ में आया होगा. It is nothing but you have to just take it inverse, write it in the form of x equal to f of y, and you are done. Moving ahead. So there are some type of inverse function which is given to you. For plus, it is minus, If you will do plus 2 and then minus 2, then you will get 0 only. So for plus, it is minus. For multiply, it is divide. Don't divide by 0, obvious, because we will get something which is infinity, which is not at all defined. For 1 by x, it is 1 by y. For x square, it is the root. For x square is the root. If you will do something square and then root it again, then you will get the same function again. For x power n, it is y power 1 by n. Ln के लिए it's e power x, because ln and e will cancel out. Similarly, if your function is something like log of a, then a power x, because a and log a will cancel and you will get x only. Sine के लिए it is sine inverse x. For cos, it is cos inverse x. For tan, it is tan inverse y. So all the things are basically read by you earlier. So this might not create much difficulty as much as I can see. So this is just an easy table for you to remember, but I think you know it from before also. So let's move ahead. So let's move to some kinds of functions. So firstly, there is cubic function. What is cubic function? Cubic function is a function of degree 3. If it is not visible, then let me write it. It is ax cube plus bx square plus cx plus d. So basically, a function of degree 3 is known as cubic function, and its graph is something like that. Because since it is a cubic function, it will pass from x equal to 0. Because putting x equal to 0, you will get x equal to d. So this point is nothing but d comma 0. D. It is d comma 0, and d comma 0 is nothing but this d, whatever is it written in your function, this is your d. So d comma 0, and this is your cubic function. So always remember, the graph of cubic function is something like this. It will go like this and it will go like this. So for y equal to x cube, since d is 0, because for y equal to x cube, a is 1, b is 0, c is 0, and d is 0. So it will pass through 0 comma 0. So this point will be 0 comma 0. And for this your cubic function, your function will pass through d comma 0. In this case, d is 0, so your function is passing through this. So this is the graph of cubic function, so please remember it. Going ahead, let's move on to modulus function. What is modulus function? Sorry. Modulus function is something like this, where it is y equal to mod x. Okay, so its domain is always your whole is real line, so it is nothing but let make it R only. Domain of modulus function is whole real line, and it is represented by mod a, as I told you. And we know that y equal to mod x, it would be x if x is greater than 0. Matlab, it's equal to y equal to mod x, I told you. Whenever x is negative, your answer would be y equal to minus x. Why? Because you don't want to go to negative side. So if your x is negative, then your y would be minus x, and if your x is positive, then your y is equal to x only. Okay, so this is your basically what is your basic mathematics behind modulus function. If x is greater than equal to 0, then your y is equal to x, otherwise it is equal to minus x. Domain is whole real number and ranges from 0 to infinity. Why? Because modulus function never goes beyond 0. So your range is from 0 to infinity, where 0 is included. When x is equal to 0, then your y is equal to 0. So this is your range for modulus function. Then moving on to signum function. Signum function is nothing but signum function is something from which you will get only three answers, either plus or minus or nothing, means 0. So if your function is positive, then you will get plus. If your function is negative, then you will get minus. And if your function is 0, then you will get 0. Okay. So plus means nothing but plus 1, minus means nothing but minus 1, and 0 means 0. So if your function is positive, then you will get plus 1. If your function is negative, then you will get minus 1. If your function is 0, then you will get 0. So basically, it is mod of fx upon fx. Why mod? Because doing mod, it will give you sign, and fx, let's say your fx is negative, so you will get fx upon minus fx. So fx and fx will cancel, and you will get minus 1. And if the function is positive, then it will be fx upon fx, which is equal to plus 1. Okay, so from here you are getting fx equal to 1, your answer equal to 1 if your function is positive, equal to minus 1 if your function is negative, and equal to 0 if your function is 0. Okay, so this is your signal function. Again, domain is whole real number. Range is only 3 because you will get only 3 answers from signum function, either 1, 0, or minus 1. If you don't know signum function from before, it is nothing but it is a function which will give you the sign. If your answer is 1, then your function is positive. If your sign is minus 1, your function is negative. And if your sign is 0, then your function is 0. Okay. Then, for example, signum of log 1, you know log 1 is 0. Signum of 0 is 0 only. Signum of x squared, you know that x squared is always positive because it is squaring your number, no? So square is always positive, you know. So x squared is always positive. So for positive number, signum will give you 1. So signum of x squared would be 1. Similarly, signum of minus x squared would be minus 1. Why? Because x squared is positive and you are multiplying it with a minus. So you will always get a minus number. So signum of minus x squared would be minus 1. So always remember signum is a function which will give you only three answers, either plus 1 or 0 or minus 1. Okay. So I hope you got it. Moving ahead. GIF function, इसको मैं greatest integer function बोलता हूँ. It is nothing but GIF, GIF, greatest integer function. So इसमें क्या होता है? इसमें ये होता है कि जो मेरा फंक्शन होता है इसमें मेरे को आंसर सिर्फ मेरी इंटीजर वैल्यू से मिलती है. कभी भी मेरे को आंसर 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 इस टाइप का नहीं मिलेगा. Always I will get integer values only. And which integer value? The integer value which is beyond, which is before my value. Let's say I am getting 1.2, then my GIF would be 1. If I am getting 1.5 also in my GIF, then also my GIF would be 1. And if I am getting 1.7 also, then also my GIF would be 1. It is nothing like rounding off. It is not rounding off. Greatest integer function is something like the integer before the value. Like if you're getting 1.2, then your answer would be 1. If you're getting 1.7, then also your answer would be 1 only. It will not round off to 2. Okay, I hope you got it. answer would be the integer before your number. If your number is 2.9 also, then you will get 2 only. If your number is 3.6 also, then you will get 3 only. If your number is 3.0, then also you will get 3. So basically it is the integer which is before your value. So like it is represented by this thing. F a is equal to greatest integer function of a. Greatest integer function is represented by square brackets, and inside square brackets you will write your function value. Let's say 1.7. So 1.7 greatest integer function is nothing but 1 only. Okay, so it is represented by square brackets. For example, 4.5 is 4, 6.99 is 6 only. It will not round up to 7. Please remember it again and again. I am saying it is something like you will get the number which is before your given value. 1.2, it is not 2, it is wrong. It will be 1 only. Domain belongs to real and range belongs to all integers. So please remember this thing is wrong. 1.2 greatest integer function will be 1 only. Okay, and this is the graph of greatest integer function. From 0 to 1 it will be 0, from 1 to 2 it would be 1, from 2 to 3 it would be 2, from -1 to 0 it would be -1, from -2 to -1 it would be -2. So it would be the basically the integer which is, let's say your fraction is, your number is beyond between two integers. So the integer which is smaller would be your answer. Let's say your answer is -2.3. So -2.3 is between -2 and -3. So which one is smaller? -3 is smaller. So your answer would be -3. So let's say -2.3 would be something here. So here it is -3 and here it is -2. Okay, so basically your integer is between -2 and -3, so -3 would be your answer. Basically the smaller integer will be your answer. Please remember it again and again. I'm saying. Moving on to fractional part 1. What is fractional part function? Fractional part is nothing but it is simply x minus GIF of x. Matlab, from this you will only get the answer which is the fraction of your answer. Like if your value is 6.99, so you will get 0.9. If your answer is 0.72, then your answer would be 0.72 only. Basically, the fraction part of your value is the fractional part of is the fractional part function. So since it is fraction, so the range will always lie from 0 to 1 only. 0 in case if your number is perfect integer, then fractional part function would be 0. Otherwise, whatever will be the fraction, that will be your answer. So its graph is something like this. It will go from 0 to 1, 0 to 1, 0 to 1, and is like y equal to x type of graphs. Y equal to x type of graphs, and it will go from 0 to 1, 0 to 1, 0 to 1, 0 to 1, something like this. And this is nothing but the fractional part. Like for 4.5, it would be 0.5. For 6.99, it will be 0.9. And remember one thing, for -2.7, it is not 0.7. Why? Because it is defined by this thing, x minus mod x. So x is -2.7. So your answer would be -2.7 minus greatest integer function of -2.7. Greatest integer function of -2.7 would be -3. So -2.7 minus -3. So the answer would be 0.3. It would not be 0.7. Please remember this thing. For negative numbers, your answer would be something like this. Why? Because definition is x minus greatest integer function of x. So for negative numbers, it would not be 0.7, it would be 0.3. That is the answer which we are getting 0.7. You will subtract that from 1. So 0.3 would be your answer because you want to do this thing, x minus GIF of x. So for -2.7, x is -2.7 only. Greatest integer function of x would be -3. So -2.7 plus 3, you will get 0.3 as your answer. Okay, so I hope you got it. Please, you can even see it from here only, -1.2. So your GIF of x is 0.8. So I hope you got that. Please remember this thing. Then for only integers where there is no fraction part, the fractional part function is 0. And this thing is something like this, -2.7. Please remember this one, -2.7. This example, if you will remember, then you will not face any problem. So let's move ahead. Question, let's say fx is equal to x square and gx equal to sin x. Then find the set of all x which will satisfy this thing. Okay, so let us do this thing. Firstly, you want g of fx. So gx is sin x. So sin x of x square. So it will be sin of x square. It is written here. And then you will again do g of f. So sin of x square. So this will be sin of x square. Then it is f of g of x. So you have reached till here. Then what you want? Then you want to do fx of all this thing. So fx is x square, so you will do square of all this. So your final answer would be sine of x square ka whole square. Okay. Similarly, doing this side, f of x is x square, then g of fx would be sine of x square, and then again g of your answer. So g of your answer would be sine of g of fx. So sine of x square. So this is your g of fx. So you have to equate both these two. Equating both these two, one square will cancel. Basically, square will not cancel. You will take one thing common, and from now and from here, you know that the sine x square can either be zero. If sine x square is zero, then you know that sine zero is zero, and you will get your answer. So either sine x square equal to zero, which will implies that x square or क्या तो ये चीज होगी. Otherwise, you want this thing to be equal to zero, and for sine x square to be and for this thing to be equal to zero, your sine of x square should be equal to one. So 1 minus 1 is 0, that's why. And sine of something is equal to 1 when this thing is equal to pi by 2. So either sine x square should be equal to 0 or it should be equal to 1. Okay. So for sine of x square equal to pi by 2, so it would be not pi by 2, it would be for then it would be only x square. X square should be equal to pi by 2. Okay. Then and cannot be a solution as sine x belongs to minus 1 to 1. Okay. So basically x square is equal to n pi, and because it is square, on rooting it you will get plus minus. So plus minus root of n pi would be your answer, where n will be 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Okay. And can't be negative because you don't want negative values inside your root. That's why n can't be negative. So your answer would be from 0, 1, 2, 3. So your answer would be root of n pi plus minus root of n pi, where n belongs to 0 to all integers. I hope you got it. So this was one thing. You have to just do whatever is asked to you. If it is asked f of g of fx, then you will first do fx, then you will apply g on it, then you will again apply g of g on it, then you will again apply f on it. Then you will equate both these two. You will get this equation as your master equation. This equation is your master equation. Okay, and then this thing is equal to 0 only possible in two cases. Either sine of x square should be equal to 0 or sine of x square should be equal to 1. And sine of x square equal to 1, which means sine of x square equal to 1 means x square should be equal to pi by 2, and x square should be equal to pi by 2. But you know that sine x belongs to minus 1 to 1. So this can't be happen. So x square should be equal to n pi, and for x square equal to n pi, x should be equal to plus minus root of n pi. Okay, and here n can't be negative. Why? Because if n will become negative, then you will get negative sign inside root, which is not plausible at all. That's why your n will lie from 0 to infinity, where n belongs to integers. Okay, so fair enough, simple question. You have to just apply composition of functions one by one, and you will reach your answer. Then coming on to this simple question, you have been given a definition of function, and f of 10 is asked to you. So so function in this type of questions, what we usually do, we try to substitute different values for x and y, and we reach to some conclusion. From that conclusion, we define the definition of function, and from that definition, we define what is being asked to us. So since it is f of x plus y, so let us try to do something which will give you at least some values. Since f of 1 is given to you, so let's take x equal to 1 and y equal to 1. Why? Because f of 1 is given to you. So taking 1, it will give you f of 1 plus f of 1, which is 2 times f of 1. So f of 1 plus 1 will be f of 2. So basically f of 2 is equal to 2 times f of 1, because f of 1 plus f of 1 will be 2 times f of 1. So f of 2 is equal to 2 times f of 1, that is equal to 2 into 7, which is equal to 14. This thing is equal to 14. Similarly, for f of 3, what you will do, you will take x equal to 1, and y equal to 2, because now you know the value of f of 1 also, and you know the value of f of 2 also. So f of 3 would be f of 1 plus f of 2, which is equal to 3 into 7. It would be 2 into 7, and f of 1 is 7. So basically your answer is something like a into 7. Yes, a into x, where a is 7. So basically fx is equal to 7x. Why? Because firstly, for you put your values and you can easily say that it is satisfying. For x equal to 1, you are getting f of 1 equal to 7, which is correct. For x equal to 2, you are getting 2 into 7, which is also correct. For x equal to 3, you are getting 3 into 7, which is also correct. So generalizing this concept, you will get f of x equal to a times x, where a is 7, and you have been asked f of 10. So put 10 here, so your answer would be 10 into 7. So f of 10 is equal to 70. 70 is your right answer. I hope you got it. Okay. कुछ नहीं करना है, you have to just put the values one by one and see what your function is satisfying, then generalize the concept and you will get your answer. ठीक है, तो fair enough, simple question. Moving ahead, for now, see what is given to you. For x belonging to the L, two real valued function fx and gx are such that gx is equal to root x plus 1. मेरे को दिया हुआ है कि gx मेरा जो है that is equal to root of x plus 1. ठीक है, and f of gx is given to us as x plus 3 minus root of x. ठीक है, so मेरे को f of 0 पूछा है. ठीक है, तो what should I do? um let's put the values. No, let's put the values, or what we can do here. mm, Once again, let me check this question. Okay, so how can you do this type of question? In this type of questions, you have to basically see f of gx in the form of something which can make it a generalized concept. Like here, you can see that when you will open this thing, you will get, here you are getting x, here you are also getting root x. So you can, what you can see, x is nothing but square of root x. So basically root x plus 1 square would be x plus 1 plus 2 root x, and plus 2 root x minus 3 root x will give you minus root x only. So basically if you will open this, you will get what? You will get x plus 1 plus 2 root x minus 3 root x minus 3 plus 5. Okay, so you know that from here you will only get x plus 2 root x minus 3 root x would be minus root x, and 1 minus 1 plus 5 6 minus 3 3. So you are getting x minus root x minus 3, which is also written here, plus 3, sorry. So again we have just written this in the form of this thing. Why? Because we want to make it in the form of g of x, so that we can substitute the value of g of x here. Like if we have written it in this form, then you can write it here, g of x square minus 3 times g of x plus 5. So from here you can see that your f of x is equal to x square minus 3x plus 5. And for f of g of x, what you have done, you have just replaced x with g of x. That's why you got this. And from here you put the value of gx, then you will get this. And substituting and solving this thing, you will get this only. So what you have basically done here, you have written f of g of x in the form of g of x. That's why you can write the function f of x from this thing. So always try to write f of gx in the form of gx, so that you can replace gx with x and get the value of fx. So here f of gx was written, then we tried to write f of gx in the form of gx, and then we substituted gx with x, and you got the value of fx. Okay, and then what is asked to you, f of 0 is asked to you, so put 0 here, you will get 0 minus 0 plus 5. So f of 0 is equal to 5. This is your final answer. So I know this is a bit tricky, but you have to make it like, you can also think it in this way, that if fx is given to you, then you will substitute x with gx and then put the value gx here and then solve it, and you will get this. So you have to just backtrack all these steps, and you want to reach here. So how you will reach here? You will write f of gx in the form of gx, then only you can go here. I know this is a bit typical, you have to think a lot, but this is the only way by which we can do this question. Otherwise this is not possible. Yeah, if in options it is given like f of x is given to you, then you can put the value of gx and check that if you are getting this thing or not. But if it is not given, then you only need to substitute it by your mind, because like thinking will only work here, nothing will else will help you here. So I hope you got the concept, but thinking is required in this question, and that's what JEE-Main is all about. So moving on to next question. In this question, they're saying fx is equal to this thing, and you want to tell domain. Okay, so for domain, let's start with the root function only. We know that inside root, you can't get a negative value because the root of negative is not defined, then it will become imaginary, which is not at all defined. So basically, this the thing which is given inside root should be greater than zero. So mod of x greater than this is nothing but GIF. So GIF of x square minus 3 times GIF of x minus 10 should be greater than zero. Now this is a quadratic equation, so we can make it into the variable form x minus 5x plus 2 greater than 0. So from here, you are getting what? So from here, you are getting what? So इसमें मुझे क्या मिल रहा है? I'm getting what? I'm getting this thing GIF of x equal to 5. Either GIF of x should be equal to 5 or GIF of x should be equal to minus 2. These two things are there. And from here, what I can say that if I will make number line, then I will take minus 2, then I will take 0, and then I will take 5. Okay. So what I'm saying that my function is greater than 0. So in 0 to 5, let's say if I will take 4. So if my GIF of x is equal to 4, then I am getting what? 4 minus 5 would be negative, and 4 plus 2 would be positive. So entirely I will be getting negative. So in this region, I am in the negative region. And from 0 to minus 2, let's say I will take minus 1. So this thing will be negative, and this thing will be positive only. Why? Because 2 minus 1 is positive. So here also I am getting negative. Okay. Beyond 5, let's say 6, all both are positive, so it will be positive. And beyond minus 2, let's say minus 7, this is negative and this is also negative. So basically I'm getting positive. And what I want it should be greater than 0. So basically my answer would be from minus infinity to minus 2, which is written here, union 5 to infinity. Why? Because I want only the positive part. So my GIF of x should belong to minus infinity to minus 2, union 5 to infinity. So x should belong to minus infinity to minus 2, union minus 2 not included obviously, union, since GIF is belonging from 5 to infinity where 5 is not included, so my answer would be from 6 to infinity where 6 will be included. Why? Because I want that 5 is not included in my answer. So my GIF of x is not equal to 5, which means my x is also not equal to 5. Because why? Because my greatest integer function is some integer only when x is also integer. And since they are round brackets on 5, then I can say that 5 is not included in my range. So my answer would be from minus infinity to minus 2, both not included, union. You can also say from 5 to infinity, but the 5 should be not included in your answer. So that's why my answer would be from 6 to infinity. So right answer is nothing but A part. A part is my right answer. Okay. So one more thing, since it is GIF of x and for converting into x, here it would be only integers, but here x can be even fraction values. And since you have said that your GIF of x is not equal to 5, so your answer of x should also not equal to 5.9 online, also like 5.6, 5.7, 5.8. All these values of x will also give you 5 only. So you don't want 5, no. That's why your x should start from 6. Because starting from 6 will give you GIF of x equal to 6, which is there in your range. So that is acceptable. But before 6, if you will take any fractional value also, like 5.99, 5.7, 5.8, you will get 5 only. But you don't need 5 because there is a round bracket on 5. That's why your answer would be from 6 to infinity. So your answer for x would be from minus infinity to minus 2, union 6 to infinity, where 6 is included in your answer. Okay? So A part is the right answer. So how we did this? We did nothing. We just took the values from the under root and we made it greater than 0. Making it greater than 0 gave me this thing, and from here I got my answer. Okay. So pretty cool question. Let's move ahead. Now again a functional equation type of question. What is given to us? We are given that f of x plus f of 1 upon 1 minus x is equal to 1 of 1 plus x. So f of 2 is asked to us. Okay. So how can we do this thing? Again, we need only to substitute values. From there, we will make a generalization and then we can solve it. So since f of 2 is asked to us, so let's take 2 only. So what we will get f of 2 plus f of 1 upon 1 minus 2, which is f of minus 1. So f of 2 plus f of minus 1 is 3. Okay. Now, since we are getting f of minus 1, so it's only about substituting values. So you have to substitute values and see what you will get. So since minus 1 is again coming, so let's take minus 1 now. So you will get what? You will get f of minus 1 plus f of 1 upon 1 minus 1, which is f of half. So from now you will get f of 1, f of minus 1 plus f of half equal to 1 minus 1 equal to 0. So you are getting this thing. Now you are getting f equal to half. So now put half here. So you will get f of half plus f of 1 upon half, that is equal to f of 2. So you will get f of half plus f of 2 equal to 3 by 2. Okay. So you have got three equations, these three equations. Okay. And from here you can see that if you will add these two, 1 and 3, then and subtract minus 2 as it is given here, then you will get f of 2. Why? Because you need to do calculation in these equations such like all the other terms will get cancelled and you only need f of 2. So if you will add 2, add first and second, and add first and third and subtract second, then only f of 2 will be left to you and all others will get cancelled. So I did the same thing. I got 2 times f of 2 equal to 9 by 2, and from here I got the value of f of 2 is 9 by 4. So A part is my right answer. Okay. So in these type of questions, these are called functional equations. Whenever you got these type of questions, you just need to substitute the values of x. Since 2 was given to you, so I substituted 2 first, then minus 1. Then what I got was minus 1, so I substituted minus 1. Then what I got was half, so I substituted half. From these three questions, I got to say that if I will add these two and subtract 2, then I will get f of 2. So I did that and I got my answer finally. Okay. So these type of questions require your brain only, like you need to substitute values and get to the final answer. This is the only way out there. Okay. So I hope you got it. Let's move to the last question for today. So what is given here? It is given to you that fx is this thing and you need to find the range of f. So अगर इसमें डोमेन पूछ होती तब तो अपन लोग सीधे सीधे बता देते हैं why because we know that denominator can't be equal to 0. So what we would have done, we would have said that x square minus 8x plus 12 is not equal to 0, and from there the values which I will get for equal to 0, we will eliminate those values and we will tell them that the range of the whole real number is your domain, leaving the values from where you are getting denominator equal to 0. But since domain is not asked to us, what is asked is the range of the function. So for range, what we will do, we will try to convert it in the form where y, like you can even write fx equal to y na. So let's say I will write it in this form. So what I will do, I will write it in the form of x equal to some function of y, and from there I will calculate the domain of the function. Why? Because y will represent the domain of function in that case. Here it is written in the form of f of x equal to y. अभी ये इस फॉर्म में लिखा हुआ है. So what I am saying is, I am saying that I will convert it in the form of f of y equal to x. ठीक है. अब what I will do is I will calculate the domain of this thing, because calculating the domain of this thing, which means I am calculating the restriction on y, and that's only what I want for the original function. So what I am doing is I am firstly converting my function into f of y equal to x. Firstly मुझे क्या दिया हुआ है, मुझे दिया हुआ है some y equal to fx and I am converting it into f of y equal to x. Then I am looking for the domain of this function, क्योंकि जो इसकी domain होगी वो इसकी range होगी, और इसी मेरे को रेंज बतानी है तो मैं I can't tell the range directly. That's why I am inversing the function, and after inverting the function I am calculating the domain for this function, because that will give me the restrictions on y, and y is only the range of my real function, which is the original function. So firstly convert this function in the form of x equal to f of y, and then calculate the domain of this function. What will be the domain for this function would be the range for the would be the range for my original function. Okay, so let's do this thing. I'm converting it in the form of x equal to f of y. So I took it that side. I will get y minus 1 x square plus this thing is equal to 0. And then from here what I did is I'm saying that since this is my some quadratic equation type of thing, and for quadratic equation to give my real roots, d should be greater than equal to 0. So I made d greater than equal to 0. From there I got y equal to this thing. Okay. एंड अब यहाँ पे y इक्वल टू 1 हो नहीं सकता, क्योंकि अगर मैं y इक्वल टू 1 ले लूंगा तो फिर मेरी क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन ही नहीं रहेगी, x स्क्वायर वाला टर्म का जो कोफिशिएंट हो जाएगा वो 0 हो जाएगा। इफ x स्क्वायर के टर्म का कोफिशिएंट 0 हो जाएगा तो मेरी क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन तो रहेगी नहीं, फिर वो लीनियर बन जाएगी। तो यहाँ मेरा y 1 भी नहीं होना चाहिए। तो फॉर y इक्वल टू 1 आई एम गेटिंग x इक्वल टू 10/11, सो x इक्वल टू 10/11 शुड नॉट बी माई आंसर। सो माई रेंज इज फ्रॉम माइनस इन्फिनिटी टू -21/4 यूनियन 0 टू इन्फिनिटी। तो ये मेरा फाइनल आंसर हो गया। ठीक है, तो मैंने क्या किया, मैंने जस्ट ये किया कि मैंने जो मेरे को एफ ऑफ एक्स इक्वल टू वाई दिया हुआ था मैंने उसको चेंज कर लिया एक्स इक्वल टू एफ ऑफ वाई में। फिर जो मेरे को फंक्शन आया मेरे पास ये फंक्शन आया। ठीक है, अब मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ, मेरे को बोल रहा हूँ कि ये जो मेरे को दिया हुआ है ये मेरे को दी हुई है क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन, और क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन के रियल रूट्स तभी होंगे जब मेरा जो डिस्क्रिमिनेंट है वो ग्रेटर देन इक्वल टू 0 होगा। और इसके रियल रूट्स इसलिए होंगे क्योंकि मेरे को दिया हुआ है कि मेरा फंक्शन की जो डोमेन है वो रियल से ही आ रही है। इसका मतलब जो मेरा एक्स है वो रियल है, और एक्स रियल तभी होगा जब मेरा इसका डिस्क्रिमिनेंट ग्रेटर देन इक्वल टू 0 होगा। दिस इज द प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशंस, नो? व्हाट इज द प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन? It is only the property that you will get the real value of x only and only when discriminant is greater than equal to 0, and it is given to you that your x is real. Here it is given to you. So that's why you made discriminant greater than equal to 0. From there you got this thing 4y square plus 21y greater than equal to 0, and there now you can take y common and you will get 4y plus 21 greater than equal to 0. From there you will get these values of y. So this is my final answer to this question. But remember this thing, for doing these type of questions you have to convert it in the form of x equal to f of y and then check for that condition. From there you will get your range. So please remember these type of questions. These are very, very, very important, and these are asked in your paper many a times. So please remember these type of questions. एंड वन मोर थिंग, फ्रॉम हेयर मैंने क्या किया, मैंने y इक्वल टू 1 के लिए मैंने यहाँ पे चेक नहीं किया था, क्योंकि मैं y इक्वल टू 1 पे अगर चेक करता तो मेरी क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन क्वाड्रेटिक नहीं रहती। तो पहले मैंने y नॉट इक्वल टू 1 के लिए चेक किया, अब मैं y इक्वल टू 1 के लिए चेक कर रहा हूँ। सो व्हेन आई एम चेकिंग फॉर y इक्वल टू 1 व्हाट आई एम गेटिंग x, आई एम गेटिंग x इक्वल टू 10 11/10। और जब मैं देख रहा हूँ मेरी डोमेन में जो है 11/10 है, डोमेन में ओनली 2 and 6 आर नॉट अलाउड, everything else is allowed. And what I'm getting the value of x, I'm getting the value of x is 11/10, which is allowed in my domain. So y equal to 1 is also allowed in my y equal to 1 is also allowed. That's why my range will also include, that's why my range will also include 1. So -1 I did earlier because because I was checking for quadratic equation. Then I checked for y equal to 1. For y equal to 1 I got x equal to 11/10, which is allowed in my domain. That's why my answer would be from minus infinity to -21/4 union 0 to infinity, and 1 will be included in my range. Okay, because when we substitute y equal to 1 here, the value of x which we are getting is allowed in our domain. That's why y equal to 1 is also allowed. ठीक है, तो मैंने यहाँ पे डिस्क्रिमिनेंट ग्रेटर इक्वल टू 0 क्यों किया, क्योंकि मेरे को बोला था गया था कि मेरा x रियल में बिलोंग करता है, और x रियल तभी होगा जब मेरा डिस्क्रिमिनेंट ग्रेटर इक्वल टू 0 होगा फॉर एनी क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन। ठीक है, तो मेन क्रक्स was there only. You have to convert y equal to fx in the form of x equal to f of y. From there you will get some function, and from there you make basic calculations about quadratic equation, and you get your final answer about y. And the y which you are getting is only the range for your function, because I substituted fx equal to y only. So the values of y which you are getting is only the range of your function. So the range of f would be from -infinity to -21/4 union 0 to infinity. ठीक है, तो इस टाइप के क्वेश्चंस को सॉल्व करते हैं। तो आई होप ये समझ में आया होगा। इट वॉज नॉट टफ, बट हाँ, फंक्शन एक ऐसा चैप्टर है जहाँ पे आपको थोड़ा बहुत ब्रेन यूज करना पड़ता है, बिकॉज यू ओनली नीड टू सब्स्टिट्यूट वैल्यूज फ्रॉम हियर एंड देयर एंड गेट योर फाइनल आंसर समहाउ. You need to take out 2 3 values, then you need to generalize them, and then from there only you get to solve the functional equations, because functional equations are something which are as such not asked in JEE-Mains at the very high level, but at the very basic level they are asked in JEE-Mains also. So please practice these type of questions. These are sometimes very interesting also, because you always have to get to a final answer, so you keep on substituting different values so that you get some answer. So these are interesting also, and these for on a very basic level are asked in JEE-Mains. So please try these type of questions. So I hope you got the basic understanding and how to do these type of questions. So okay, then let's end this lecture on this note. Thank you.